So, hi everyone. Hi. So, hang on. Let's just quickly clear that. So, hi everyone. It's Arsh Ellahi. It is Sunday, the 6th of January. I'd like to say Happy New Year. And the reason why I'd like to say Happy New Year is because we are in 2019. Hopefully, you've set your goals, you've set your targets for the forthcoming year, and hopefully, the things that we're going to share with you tonight is going to enable you to meet those goals or to even smash those targets. So tonight what we're going to be talking about, I've called the webinar very straightforward: deal sourcing, deal trading made easy, and how you can do this too, and how you can make 2019 the best possible year for you. So like I said, I was just talking to the guys on Facebook and also on Instagram. So we're also live on YouTube as well. So we've got quite a large reach this evening. So for those that are on the social media networks, if you want to share the video and the post that we've got going and the live video there, I'll be giving away a free no money down property investing booklet. For the guys that are on the webinar, guess what, guys, you're already going to get it anyway as a bonus for registering. So well done for that. So that's my first present to you. So let's get moving on. We've got a lot to get through. So first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for trusting me with your time this evening. I appreciate that it's a Sunday evening. I appreciate that there's lots going on. New Year, family going back, kids going back to school, etc., and there's a lot to get on. But I promise you that tonight is going to be probably the best investment that you make. So in just over 90 minutes, you're going to see a simple 3-step system to deal trading success. We're also going to see the fastest way to make property cash flow. We're also going to see the number of deals that we traded in 2018. We're going to be looking at the kind of deals that we traded in 2018. And more importantly, I think the reason why everyone's here is that they want to know how to get started, no money and with no money and no experience. So if you can let me know whether you're in the right place or you're in the right room, that'd be fantastic. Just say yes or no. It sounds fantastic, Arsh, that'd be great. So why should you listen to me? Who is Arsh Ellahi? So first of all, I'm a best-selling author of a book called Boom Bust and Back Again. It's on Amazon. I'm also a monthly columnist of 2 very well-known UK property magazines, property publications, which is YPN magazine, which is Your Property Network, and the HMO magazine. I'm a property veteran. When I say that, is that I've survived the brink and bust of recession, well, a couple of recessions in actual fact. I've started a deal trading business on a shoestring budget and made £6 million profit in 3 years. And as well as that, I'm a property investor. I'm a property investment trainer and a mentor that has helped hundreds, if not thousands, of people achieve financial freedom. So that's a little bit about me. The one thing that I want to say is that first and foremost, I am a property investor. So I still buy property for myself. I still buy property for my portfolio and my businesses. I run a group of 13 different property businesses, so I'm very active in the property industry. In 2017, I purchased 50 properties for my own portfolio. In 2018, we added an additional 20 properties, so not as many as the previous year, but I thought 2017 was quite an active year for us, and so 2018 was a lot of consolidation as well as still purchasing, and I like to think that it's been quite a productive year. So just so that the guys that are on social media, so the guys that are on Facebook and Instagram as well as YouTube, your session will be only for 15 minutes. After that, we're going to carry on with the webinar for the full 90 minutes. And if you want to get involved with the full session, what you've got to do is click on the link, which is in the opening post, and you can follow us fully there. So question that I've got to ask you guys is that what are your goals for 2019? So this is the part where you can actually comment and say, well, my goals for 2019 is this, that, and the other. So some of your goals may be that I want to quit my job. Some of you may say that I want to make property pay for luxuries such as cars, holidays, clothes, watches, you name it. It could be anything. It could be to help get your kids onto the property ladder. It could be to help your kids get through university, and the list goes on. It could be to support family. It could be to get you to financial freedom. But my question is, what are your property goals for 2019? So straight away, Mark has come in on the webinar and goes, I want to get closer to retirement. And that's a great game. You know what? Fantastic. The way that I look at it is that every day, the way that I consider myself is almost like a ticking, it's the wrong way to describe it, but I've got a goal that on the 11th of November 2025 is the day that I retire. And now I've been very vocal about this. And the reason why I say that is because on the 12th of November, I actually turned 45 years old. And as a result, I want to retire on that day. Whether I retire or not, at least I will have the option. So I've geared a lot of all my debt and everything to zero, so that on that day I can wake up knowing that I'm completely debt free, and as a result, I can do what I like and when I like. So whether I decide to work, whether I decide to travel, whether I decide to spend the more time with my family and kids, children, that's completely to me, but that's my goal. So every year I'm ticking away. Every day I'm ticking away towards that goal. So a couple of people say, so AO said, hi AO, says my goal for 2019 is to be financially freedom. Rakesh says, I want to be happy. Now that's a great goal. I want to be happy. I think everyone deserves to be happy. We live in such a depressing world where such negative news. The fact that you want to be happy is fantastic. I well applaud you for that. So to some people, success may come in a monetary value. So for argument's sake, some people may want £3,000 a month. Some people may want £10,000 a month. Some people may want £15,000 a month. The question is, how are you going to get there? What is the strategy that's going to enable you to get to that kind of figure? So that's the one thing that we've got to say. So David is coming in, he goes, I want to flip 3 properties this year. David, to be fair, you could flip 3 properties in a week. Question is, where are you going to find them? And that's what we're going to be working on tonight. So Suleiman is coming in and goes, Arsh, I want to build 20k, so £20,000 a month, monthly revenue from property investment. So £20,000 a month is £250,000. So it's a big goal, but it's not unachievable. With the right tools and with the right guidance, everything is achievable. Extra income stream, take away financial stress. That's from Justin Hunt. I hear you, Justin. To be fair, that's a fantastic way of looking at it. So there's lots of people with lots of different goals and lots of different targets as to what success looks like for them. So I'm going to talk briefly about beliefs and actions, because I believe that our beliefs shape our actions. If we believe it's possible to find deals, then we are more likely to act in a way that confirms this. If we believe it's possible, then our actions will prove that we can. Tonight, I'm going to prove that we can find deals direct to owners in any town from the comfort of your own home. So when we talk about taking action, it's only action that will transform the quality of your life. We can all talk about it. We can all read about it. We can all sit on Facebook and think, oh, he's done good and he's done great. But the fact is that they've done good and they've done great as a result of taking action. So tonight, I'm going to be showing you a sourcing technique that you can use tomorrow. And I don't want to let a fear of failure or a fear of success stop you from grabbing the success that you deserve. I'm a firm believer that we've all got this thing that we're worried about failing, or we're worried about succeeding, or what succeeding is going to do to us as a person. Don't sweat the small stuff. Go out and do it, take action, and act accordingly. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but how do you know if it's going to work or not if you haven't taken the action to do that? So we're trying to cover a lot of ground tonight. Now, if you're on the webinar, you're going to see a picture of what my why is. My why is very simple. I've got a very beautiful wife, a very caring and understanding wife with 2 very young children. So they are very young. They're 5 and 3, and that's my why. So when I get out of bed every morning, they're the reasons why I get out of bed. They're the reasons why I keep pushing further and harder to make sure that these guys can live the life that I could only have dreamt of as a child. And, you know, thankfully, I've given them, I'd like to think I've given them a fantastic life. The life that my parents could only have dreamt of giving me. So what is your reason why? You know, by all means, feel free to put your reason why. And my question is, how badly do you want it? Now, for those that know me on social media forums or social media platforms, this year I set myself a goal. Well, it was the 1st of January, I think it was, early, or it may have been the tail end of last year, I entered the London Marathon. Believe it or not, my wife actually wanted to do the London Marathon, but she goes, will you do it with me? Will you train with me? I said, yeah, sure. I'll put my name down as well, and hopefully we both get in, we can train together, we can spend the quality time together, and we can achieve a goal together. Sometimes it doesn't always pan out like that, and when the results came through, it said to my wife, sorry, you didn't get in, but they said, Arsh, well done, you're in. I thought, oh crap, how does this work? I said, no, I was doing this as the supporting role, and all of a sudden now I've got to train for the marathon, I've got to run the marathon. So on the 22nd of April this year, I ran the London Marathon, and I wanted it so bad. You know, I trained and I trained through rain, wind, we had snow, gale force winds. I was out there every morning running, and the one thing that we did not train for is a heat wave. On the 22nd of April 2018, guess what? We had the hottest London Marathon ever on record. How could I train for that? But anyway, I wanted it so badly. And guess what? I completed it. 26.2 miles later, with over 1,000 miles of training just to reach this pinnacle point. So the reason why I say this is very simple, because if you want it, you're going to have to work for it. It's not going to come and fall directly on your lap. You know, I can make it sound very easy, and the fact is it is easy, but you are still going to have to play your part. So whatever I show you tonight, you are still going to have to play your part. When I entered the marathon, I knew there was work to be done. And what I did, I got a running coach who I'm still running with. I went out and ran 11 miles with him this morning. And he told me exactly what to do. I stuck to it, and we completed it. So we did 26.2 miles. The aim was to finish it. It was never to go off and get a time. It was to complete the London Marathon. And that's something off the bucket list. Now, for those that are listening, I've created an even larger goal for 2019. My goal for 2019 is to complete an Ironman. And if you don't know what an Ironman is, it is a 2.5 mile open water swim, followed by a 140 mile bike ride, followed by a 26.2 mile run thereafter. And the reason why I'm doing it is just to test my mind, to see how strong am I really. Can I do it? Can I complete it? I'm not then going there for a time. I'm not the fittest person in the group. I never aim to be. I'm not the slimmest person in the group. I never aim to be. But what I do want to do is show myself the mental stamina that I can put myself through. And if I can get around the Ironman between, you know, circa anywhere between 12 and 16 hours, I'll be happy with that. So who likes a challenge? Because here's the first thing that I'm going to throw out there. I'm going to be doing a challenge, and we're going to start it on Monday. I think it's Monday the 4th of February 2019. So it's the first Monday in February 2019. We're going to throw a challenge out there. It's a 30 deals in 30 days challenge. Now, if you want to take part of that, and if you're on social media, you know, type in the box, yes, I want to be a part of it, or you're going to have to send me a message saying, yes, Arsh, I want to be a part of it. Okay, Suleiman says straight away, hi, Arsh, I'm up for the challenge. Straight away, he doesn't even know what it is. He said, yes, I'm in. So that's fantastic. So, okay, so AO says, yes, I'm in. So, okay, so we're going to do a 30 deals in 30-day challenge. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it a little later on in the session, but I wanted to throw it out there. You've got to be up for this, because if you're up for this, I'm well up for this. I do this every year, and every year we smash it. We smash it. So I take people, so Jackie Davis on Facebook that says, yes, I'm in. Fantastic. So Jackie, like I said, we've got a lot of work to do. All I want you to do is follow what I say to the T. Don't divert away from it. Don't think, oh, Arsh, I'll throw this in there. Let's not mess with a proven system. So, okay, so Jeff has said, I'm in. Let's go. Everyone's saying that they want to go. Cool. So let's get moving. So what is deal trading? First of all, let's clarify this. It is not a new strategy. It is not a shiny penny. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It will make you a lot of money, yes. It will not make you sufficient money to go off and buy a yacht and an aeroplane and all that kind of stuff. So if that's what you're after, it's the wrong strategy. Okay, so so what is deal trading? It's a matchmaking service. When I say it's a matchmaking service, we've got a buyer and we've got a seller, and we put them together. And the reason why a deal trader or deal sourcer is so important is because without us, they would never have found each other. And we've given them a simple and safe way to do business. I would like to call us almost like a glorified estate agent. But the reason why people like dealing with us is because we're more motivated, because we're driven by our commissions, we're much quicker, and we're easier to do business with, and we're easier to work with. So we're quicker, and we have the opportunity to work nationally and to make more. So let's just imagine, I'm going to just use an example. So let's say that in Wolverhampton, we've got a Connells. Connells in Wolverhampton will never go off and try and tout property in Birmingham, because hopefully Connells in Birmingham will be looking after the Birmingham area. Now, with a deal sourcer or as a deal trader, depending on what you want to call yourself, they're both exactly the same. It depends on who you've been speaking to, on the terminology that you use. Now, with a deal sourcer, they can work anywhere and nationally. So today you may be possibly working in an area in, let's say, Wolverhampton. Tomorrow you may be working in Liverpool. Day after you may be working in Doncaster. I'm going to give you an example of a guy that came to my office on Thursday. I think you may have seen him if you're on the if you've been receiving my emails. A chap called Curran. He started looking for deals, and he found one in Liverpool, and he found some in Doncaster, all in the same day. Now, how could an estate agent do that? They couldn't. It's also a service that helps homeowners that have been let down by estate agents, and a service that helps other property investors too. So the way that I look at deal sourcing and deal trading is that deal sourcing and property success with every strategy begins with sourcing. Now, whether you believe it or not is completely up to you. If you want to build your own portfolio, or if you want to trade deals, guess what? All the roads begin with sourcing. Whether you're finding a property or the right property for your portfolio with the right rental demand, whether you're looking for a development site, finding the right piece of land in the right location at the right price, again, you're sourcing it. You may not think it, but you are sourcing. You are actually sourcing every day of the week. If you were to put it in a context of everyday living, if you're cooking and if you're a chef, or if you're the house cook, or you prepare meals, in order to prepare that meal, you need to source the ingredients. Now, sourcing for property and sourcing ingredients are two completely different things, because sourcing ingredients, you can either go online, you can either go to the supermarket, go to a local shop, blah, blah, blah. When you're sourcing property, it's a little bit more in detail than that. But what is a good deal? Now, this is a question that I get asked every day. Let's start from the beginning. So, I'll tell you what we're going to do here, guys. We're going to close off the feed on, if you're listening on Facebook, if you're listening on Instagram, if you're listening on YouTube. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for being online with us. We're going to close the session now. If you like what you've heard and you want to follow the rest of the session, you want to get involved in 30 days and 30 deals, you have to join the webinar. The webinar is on the opening post if you're listening on Facebook and if you're listening on LinkedIn. But hopefully you've enjoyed the session. I look forward to working with you, and I will be speaking with you all very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye. So bear with me a second, guys. So now you've got my undivided attention, so that, right, okay. Fantastic. So now you've got my undivided attention solely on the webinar. So first of all, well done. Okay. Okay, so there's a couple of questions coming in. So Manito, hold fire, don't worry, we'll get there. So why is being a property sourcer such an important skill? Now, first of all, you've got to put yourself into context here. Now, you as a property investor, you've got it's being a property sourcer, it's such an important skill. How else would a property investor in London, so let's just say that for argument's sake, Manito, who's online, is in London, how else would he get to know about a great deal that, let's just say that Helen or Kasim has in Manchester? How else? Because let's face it, Manito probably would not have seen that deal without the intervention of Kasim and Helen. How else would agents be able to sell their hard sell properties? Now, the one thing I would say to you is that not all the properties that you're going to look at are going to be ideal for investors. If it is standard if it is great buy-to-let stock, fantastic. Yes, we'll work with it. Some of it is home buyer stock, and generally speaking, that's going to be a little bit tougher to deal with. The other thing I was going to say to you is also investors take calculated risks, unlike homeowners who are simply after somewhere to live. So when we talk about hard sell properties, we talk about the properties where, let's say, have been a probate property, the ones where are really tired, where the grandmas, bless them, have passed away and the property hasn't been left in the best of condition. The properties that have got structural issues, the properties that have got mining issues, the properties that have got issues with their titles. Homeowners or people looking to get on the property ladders generally are not after that style of property. However, investors will look at those properties and take a calculated risk. Is it in the right location? Does it make money? Could it potentially benefit from capital growth? Could I make money from it somewhere along the line? And if the answers to those are yes, let's face it, guys, and you've got to ask yourselves as property investors, how many times have you looked at a property that potentially a homeowner would not have looked at? And more importantly, how would distressed sellers be able to sell their problem properties without us? And the way that I like to define this is problem solvers, because that's exactly what we are. When we look at a property, it's not necessarily oh yes, I can buy it and here's what I can offer you. Sometimes you've got to look at it from outside the box and say, you know what, I can actually see a different angle with this. And the reason why I like deal trading is because it gives me freedom to do what I like, where I like, when I like. So just so this year I've spent a fair bit of time abroad, and I've been deal trading from abroad. Now, let's face it, there may have been a time where some of you may have called me and I've been abroad, but yet the deal has still gone out and we're still taking the call. The fact is that I've still worked off a Wi-Fi network somewhere and off my mobile phone. Now, one of the questions that Manito asked, he goes, do you recommend we physically view each property we source when we start out? If you want to start with, if you want to start and go and view those properties, then you're more than welcome to. I haven't viewed a property for a number of years, unless it's in Wolverhampton and unless it's in my neck of the woods and I really want to go meet the vendor, then not necessarily, I don't need to. I've got deals all over the country in Pembroke, Scotland, Bournemouth, you name it. All the deals that you've seen, chances are I wouldn't have viewed personally. More importantly, the reason why I like deal trading is because I don't own the property. I can do it anywhere. I can do it anywhere in the country. And as a result, because I'm not buying it, I can look at all different types of property. And we'll be going through that shortly. So the question that I'm going to ask you is that if you had the opportunity to fish, do you like to fish in a pond, or would you prefer to fish in the big bad sea? And the reason why I say that, and by all means, guys, answer this question if you can. So if you're listening to a webinar, please answer the question. So if I give you the opportunity where you can fish in a pond, or you could go and fish out in the sea, what would you prefer to do? Now, the reason why I say that is because estate agents fish in ponds, franchisees fish in ponds, because they can't go any further than their defined area. They're restricted by their area, and that's what makes us so great. The fact that I can go to my office and think, well, you know what, today I'm going to pick an area. And sometimes you can literally just get your map out and close your eyes, put your finger on it and go, oh, that's where I'm going to be looking tonight, or that's where I'm going to be looking today. And that is a beautiful thing about it. You don't have to be defined. So if you think that your area has dried up, you can go somewhere else. And people say to me all the time, Arsh, why don't you set this up as a franchise? The reason why I don't set it up as a franchise is very simple. It's because I don't want to restrict or define myself to an area. By doing that, I would be setting, or the way that I would see it is, I'd be creating commercial suicide, because I've restricted myself to an area, to a certain amount of chimney pots, and I'd rather work for it and do anything that I can all over the country. So Natasha says, higher probability of getting clients. Absolutely. Absolutely. So everyone, there's not a single person that says pond. So here's how it works. In the deal trading process, there are three people involved. First one is the vendor. That's the person that approaches you, owns the property, and says, okay, Arsh, I've got property to sell. Now, step two is that you are the most important cog of the whole process. And I can't say that enough. You are the most important instrument to the whole process. You make the deal happen. You assess the deal. You look at the angle. You look at the profitability, and you package it. Now, step three is that you put it out to your database, and hopefully you go off and find a purchaser. The purchaser is a person that's going to buy the property from you on the basis that the property makes financial and commercial sense. Now, I know that there's a couple of you guys that are on the webinar that have actually approached me about properties previously. So I know that AO has been looking, had some rent-to-rent properties, etc. So I know that there's quite a few of you that have purchased properties or approached me about properties previously. So you can see that the way that I package them and I put them out. So the three people involved, they're the vendor. First one is the vendor. We need to understand who is the vendor, what is their motivation, what is their pain. Step two is you. Like I said, you're the most important person. You need to figure out how we can create a real win-win-win scenario. And there has to be three wins, because the vendor has to win, you have to win, and the purchaser has to win. How can you make profit without being a busy fool? I don't want you running around the country left, right, and centre trying to find properties and not doing anything with them. And how can you create the value? You're the most important part, because you're the most creative person in the whole process. And then step three is the purchaser, the person that's going to be satisfied with the transaction, the person that's going to be coming back to you and saying, Arsh, I liked that one, I want to do another one. When can we get another one? And I've got hundreds, if not thousands of people that come back to me, that have bought properties off me and come back and say, Arsh, okay, I like that one. You know, we've had it refinanced, we've got our money back out, it's said it's done what it said on the tin, let's go again. And let's face it, that's exactly what estate agents do. They sell properties, and then as a result of it, they get the repeat custom, because the investors come back to them and say, okay, I've got that one's all done, it's all let, I'm ready to go again. Now, why trade deals? Well, first of all, as a deal trader, it allows you to see the best deals first. Like I said, in 2017, I bought 50 properties. These are 50 properties that were in my neck of the woods, in my backyard. And as soon as I saw them, I thought, yes, I'm having them. I bought 50 properties where we paid on average, I think it was just under one, sorry, it wasn't under, it was 1.2 million for 50 properties. But those 50 properties now have got a circa a market or a value of them of just under 3 million. So again, it all comes down to how creative you are, how you can structure the deal, and how you can make it work for you. Now, the beautiful thing with deal trading, you decide when you see the property, are you going to keep it, or if it's not for you, do you want to sell it? You know, because if it's not in your area, you may not want to keep it. Now, you don't need any money. So when I say you don't need any money, you may want to spend a little bit on marketing. When I say marketing, potentially setting up a website, getting compliant, or getting registered with people like the ICO, getting registered with the PRS or the TPO, getting some public indemnity insurance, making sure that you've got all the insurances in place, making sure that you're registered with anti-money laundering regulations. So little things like that. It's going to cost you the best part of £2,000. Well, the regulation stuff costs you, I think it's £840 all in all, off memory, depending on the level of insurance that you go for. So I've gone for insurance for up to 2 million, which cost me, I think, £320 for the year, something silly like that. So you don't need money, or you don't need a lot of money to get started, just lots of determination. There is no risk. When I say there is no risk, you are not actually buying the property. And don't fool people into saying that you're going to buy the property, because you're not. You're not the buyer. You're simply the person facilitating the sale. And you're going to get fast results, and it's going to be easy and quick to scale. And we're going to be talking about scalability later on. And we're going to be showing you what I call it holiday size bundles of cash, because if you make pockets of cash of circa £3 to £5 to £7 to £10,000, that's holiday size bundles of cash. That's what I mean by that. And it's the fastest way to reach your property cash flow goals without owning a property. Now, the way that I say that is that if you own a single let, let's say the average cash flow is £200 a month, which over a year is the best part £2,500. But in order for you to deal with that, you've got to deal with the heartache of tenants, maintenance, estate agents. You only have to do one deal, and you've eradicated all that cash flow from one deal. And you don't own the property. You don't have to deal with tenants. You don't have to be on the phone. You don't have to be on the beck and call of tenants. Now, I know how that feels, because I've got a lot of tenants. And I have to deal with all kind of different tenants, and they can be a pain in the backside, but they can also be fantastic. So, this is another strategy for me. So what is a deal? What is your idea of a deal? Does anyone have an idea of what a deal is? Type in the box, what is your idea of a deal? Feel free to knock yourselves out here and say, Arsh, I think a deal is this, this, and this. Is it something? I'm going to go through a couple of examples. Okay, so Sebastian is online. Sandeep's okay. So Michael says a deal that creates a win-win. Okay, so here's an idea. What is an ideal deal? Is it buying something below market value? Is it buying a property in need of renovation? Is it something that is already income producing? Is it producing a good ROI, which stands for return on investment? Is it something with good potential of capital growth? Is it something that is sustainable? Now, my question is, which one is a good deal? The answer is all of them are good deals. Why do we just need to choose one? Why don't we take that list and look for them all? So one of them may be below market value, the other one may need renovating, the other one may be already income generating HMO, maybe income generating blocks of flats. You see these in the emails that I send out on a daily basis. So for argument's sake, this week we put out a 30% return, 30% below market value deal, 25% ROI. It ticked box number 1 and box number 4. It may not have had great potential for capital growth, but you're buying it below market value. It was already income producing. Is it sustainable? Of course it is. So these are the questions that you've got to be asking yourself, all of them. Don't restrict yourself. I don't want you to restrict yourself to what you're looking for. I know certain people will say, find one strategy and stick with it. Absolute rubbish. The strategy is deal sourcing. What you're actually sourcing is everything, and you can source everything. You can source antiques, you can source second-hand cars, you can source whatever you want to source. What we're actually working on tonight is property. Oh, so here's how can you get easily started to source 10 deals a week. So there's, believe it or not, there's loads of deals on social media. So social media, estate agents, and networking are the 3 main areas where we get, I would say, 95% of my source deals. So social media, and just so you know, there's lots of people sharing deals on there, whether they're the right deals or not. I'm going to be talking to you about Cullum shortly. We found one of the deals on social media. Now, estate agents is without a doubt the biggest source of deals that you'll ever get, because these are the guys that already got the stock. All you need to do is restructure what they've got, and as a result, providing that you treat them well and you show and you do as you say, there's no reason why they won't keep coming back to you. So there's a few, and believe it or not, there's 21 ways to actually source deals. I'll be going through those shortly as well. So you don't need any money to get started. You're not buying the house. So you don't need the money for a deposit. You don't need money for solicitors. You don't need money for surveyors. You don't need the money for the refurb. There are some sourcing techniques that are completely free. Other sourcing techniques may cost less than a family meal out. When we talk about no risk, you don't own anything, so there's nothing can go wrong. Worst case scenario, the deal doesn't happen and you move on to the next one. One thing that I will say to you is try not to burn your bridges along the way. I've done that. I've been there previously. You know, I've burnt a couple of bridges with a couple of agents. You know, okay, out of 27,000 agents that there are in the country, if I've burnt one or two, I've used that as a learning curve and try not to burn any other. Now, here's a guy that I'm going to be talking to you about. Now, here's I've spoken about this guy loads and loads of times. He's a chap called Raheel. He's a mechanical and procurement engineer. Works and lives in Saudi Arabia on a short-term contract. He's an expat working abroad. He earns a large salary due to the antisocial nature of the work, being in a foreign country away from his extended family and friends. He works 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, which is equivalent to 72 hours a week. And it's fair to say that he doesn't have a lot of free time. His wife, his kids are with him in Saudi, so he needs to make time for them, and also time to build a UK-based property business. I talk about Raheel a lot because I think he's a phenomenal young man. He wants to break his trading time. He wants to break his trading time for money cycle. He wants to create a secure financial future for his kids. These are his reasons why. He wants to have the time to be with his kids and the money to support them in every possible way. And he's prepared to make the sacrifice now to build a better future for himself and his family. Now, remember, one thing that I would say is that, bear in mind, he's living in Saudi Arabia. English is not always his first language, and as a result, he's got a lot to go against. You know, the time difference, the language barrier. So strategies such as like leafleting, advertising on takeaway menus, advertising in newspapers, and doing Facebook adverts, he did not have access to any of these, or he didn't have the time to do any of these. So he was really up against it. So he only really had one angle. Living in a foreign country, he was unable to view the property. He was also unable to he was only able to negotiate the price with the vendor. The restriction forces Raheel to work exclusively with estate agents. So this is the way that he sourced the property. He only works with estate agents because this is the only way that he can do it. He can't deal with vendors, or he tries to deal with vendors, but sometimes time is a restriction, sometimes the language barrier is a restriction, and sometimes they may not believe him because he's out of the country. So he started looking for deals on places like Rightmove, Zoopla, Gumtree, and all the other online property platforms, and we'll be going through some of them shortly. And in 3 months, when Raheel contacted me and he goes, I want to do some work with you, but I'm worried because I'm in a different country that I'm not going to be able to make this work. And admittedly, I had a bit of a concern, and I thought, am I going to be able to get this guy over the line? And I don't like working, I don't want to say yes to someone if I don't believe I can do it. And I asked myself, am I going to be able to get this guy over the line, trading deals, knowing all the restrictions that he's got against him? And I said, I'll tell you what, Raheel, yes, we'll make it work. Whatever we need to do, we will make this work. And in 3 months, Raheel traded 15 deals and made in excess of 15 grand in sourcing fees for his commission. Every deal had been listed with an estate agent and found online. And Raheel hasn't physically viewed a single property. Let's face it, it's impossible. It would have cost me more than that going back and forth with air fees. So a couple of people say, Rick has said that he's lost sound. Can everyone else hear me clearly? Please let me know, yes or no, before we move any further. Okay, so everyone else can hear me clearly. So, okay, so fantastic. So Raheel's deal sourcing secret was that he was going to look for deals across the entire country. Let's face it, he lives outside the country, so he's got no restriction as to where he's going to look for deals. He isn't going to live in them. His view was that he isn't going to live in them. He isn't going to view them. So why limit your search to your investment area? He searched the entire country. He focused on one region or a county for a week before moving on to another area. And he systematically worked his way through the different regions. And once he'd completed it, he repeated it again once he covered the entire country. Okay, so here was his first deal. He did this in 2017, which is ages ago. He's done, if I remember correctly, he's done best part of 40 odd deals by now. I've got a whole spreadsheet which I wanted to actually put into the presentation of how many deals that we did last year, how many deals we did this year, so far in 2019, how many we did in 2017. So the first property that he found was in Utria Road, which is Stoke-on-Trent. It was a 6-bed HMO produced in 23,000 at a purchase price of 140,000 and sourcing fee of 5 grand. There was professional tenants already in place, and the property is occupied and fully managed. And we sold that on the 17th of February 2017. If you don't believe me, if you store my emails, go back and look at your emails. You'll see an email from me on the 17th of February 2017. This is RAHEEL'S first deal. He started working with me on the 1st of February 2017. Within the space of 3 weeks, he had his first deal. Phenomenal young man. There's some of the pictures, so you can see the properties in good order. You can see, actually, in actual fact, it's still got the agent's print in some of the corners. So he found it on Gumtree. The agent took the pictures and created the floor plan. So he used the agent to the best possible ability. The agent took the pictures and created the floor plan. The agent negotiated with the vendor. The deal was sold to my database in a day, and it was sourced, negotiated, and sold from the comfort of his sofa. All he did was found it and negotiated it. I did the selling for him, and it worked extremely well. Remember, his why was to build a better future for his family. His why was that he wanted to build a UK property business from Saudi Arabia whilst working 72 hours a week and without neglecting his family. And he's still doing it. You know, 2 years on, he's still with me. And we've still got deals in the pipeline. I think we've got about 12 deals in the pipeline. When I say 12 deals in the pipeline, 12 deals that he sourced from last year that are just due to complete. I think there's one in Durham, there's one in Blackpool, and there's a portfolio of 6 in, I think it's not in Gainsborough. It's over, if off memory, I think it's towards Peterborough. And he finds these. He's got a phenomenal work ethic. He works whilst we sleep because that's the only time he's got. His family sleeps, he works, and he's making phenomenal money from deal trading. The only barrier to entry is your determination to make a better life for you and your family. Your success is guaranteed if you follow a proven system and you take committed action. So, what does this mean? Estate agents are your best. If someone was to say to me, Arsh, okay, I want to get started in deal sourcing or deal trading, how can I make this work? And I need to make it work immediately. Go to the source with the most stock. Yes, you can go to vendor or go direct to the vendor, but how are you going to, okay, here's some of the questions I'm going to ask you. How are you going to go direct to the vendor? Are you going to look for properties that are for sale and then approach them? How are you going to approach them? Are you going to write them a letter? What's going to go in that letter? What's going to be the tone of that letter? More importantly, how many words can you fit on one A4 piece of paper? The answer to those is that it's all very limited. I know lots of people that say write letters. I've seen people posting out thousands of letters. And let's face it, guys, if we can go to a source where they're going to give us tens, hundreds of deals over a period of a year or a couple of years, don't mess with the system. Estate agents need you as much as you need them. Estate agents will need your help as houses will not sell themselves. Remember, they want to sell as many houses as possible. They want to sell houses as quickly as possible. They want to sell them as easily as possible. They want to make their commission, and they want to make their commission with as little work as possible. And when they have a tired property, they will struggle to sell it to a first-time buyer or to a homeowner. Does that make sense? People say, I can't find a deal off an estate agent. I think is the worst statement that I think I ever hear. Or the other worst statement that I ever hear is that there are no deals in my area. Now, you've seen last year, we've done deals in London. We've got flats going through at the moment in Islington. We've got properties going through in Beckton. We've got property which is in London. We've got properties going through in Nottingham. We've got properties going through in Bournemouth. We've got properties going through in Scotland. We do it all over the country, and we're working with agents all over the country, and they can't get enough of it. It's the same system that I use to trade. That's a whopping number of deals. 483 deals in 2017. I'm a little bit disappointed because we did not hit 500. The goal was 500. And then I set the goal for 500 in 2018. And guys, do you reckon I hit it? I didn't get even anywhere near close in 2018. And admittedly, I was a little bit disappointed. But then when I went through the figures, I was actually very surprised. We didn't get anywhere near 500. We did 358 deals in 2018. Slightly tougher market, but to accommodate that, we increased the fee for the slower numbers, and we made more money from fewer properties. So there's a very simple, I call it the SPS system: source, package, and sell. Source, package, and sell. Source, package, and sell. So there are a number of ways to find a deal. First one is, remember, I wouldn't define. So if you were to say to me, what kind of deals should I be looking for? Should I be looking for below market value? Should I be looking for a renovation project? Don't worry about that. Just start speaking to the agents and let's see what they've got. So we'll start speaking to letting agents, estate agents, auctions, online platforms, other sources and director owners. Speak to them all. I know it sounds vague, but this is a numbers game, and you have to say that numbers, it's the same with an auction house. Do you think that they just go out and think, well, we'll go out and we'll aim for 10 properties and hopefully we'll get 10 properties to go into the next auction? No, they don't. They go out aiming for 200 properties, hoping that they'll get circa 100 properties. So you've got to look at it from a numbers point of view. Okay, so what Carl said, I opened an estate agent last year in Manchester, helps a steady flow of BMV deals. Yeah, that's a fantastic strategy. I own a letting agency, and I set up the letting agency solely to find rent-to-rent deals. So when a landlord came to me and said, Arsh, you want to rent a property? I said, okay, great. Well, have you ever thought of this strategy? And that's, I've got quite a decent sized portfolio of rent-to-rent properties as well. So again, it all depends on how creative you are. So 90% of properties are sold through estate agents in the UK. They can become your unpaid sales force. They need your help shifting tired properties that don't appeal to first-time buyers. The one thing I will say is that if you earn their trust, they will call you before anyone else and before they've advertised it. Now, we've got one of the guys that we're going to talk about, Russell, shortly. He's got agents actually saying, Russ, I've got this property. We want to sell it. Here's the price that we want to sell it for, or here's what the vendor will accept. And we'll even take it off Rightmove and Zoopla for you so that you can sell it for us. And that's where you want to be. Yeah, we can go direct to vendor, but just one thing I will say to you, direct to vendor is hard work. So you can write to them by sending them leaflets, letters, posters. You can do a JV with window cleaners. You can do medical cards. You can, I've sponsored death certificate folders before to get probate properties. We've done a series of letters. We've advertised on takeaway menus. We've advertised on buses. We've done car adverts where we've wrapped cars. We've sponsored taxis as well, forums and social media, newspaper adverts. You know, there's so ways of going direct to vendor. But guess what, guys? All that costs money. And the one thing that I will say to you is that there's two different approaches when it comes to deal sourcing. You can either put your letters out there. So you could do a marketing campaign where you're going to put out 10,000 leaflets and you're going to hopefully get a response. And let's say the average response is circa 1 or 2%, depending on how good your advert is. And off the back of that, you're going to get some people contact you. But the question is, when are they going to contact you? Is it going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be next week? Is it going to be next month? Is it going to be next year? You do not have the answer to that. I rather would be the person making the call as opposed to waiting for the phone to ring. Does that make sense? And you don't want to be the person waiting for the phone to ring, because what you can do in the meanwhile, you can do it in conjunction with working with agents, etc. But I would rather you be doing this. Now, one of the people that I'm going to speak to you about shortly is Ashley Walker. But here's some of the other guys that I've been working with. So these are all the people that I've traded deals with when I say recently, within the last year. Vicky Hughes, Alfred Street, Alex Rooney, we've got Ryan, we've got Paulin, we've got Chris. Chris Dench is actually based in Bulgaria and he's traded properties in the UK. We've got Sandy, we've got, apologies if I don't remember all the names, Darren, we've got Graham Dixon, we've got Russ, we're going to be talking about Russ shortly. We've got, oh man, I'm so bad with names. So bad with names. So it'll come back to me in a sec. Tutu, sorry. Then we've got Christina. We've got Ellie. We've got Martin. We've got the first, Helen and Gareth. We've got, Nick. And we've got Giresh. These are all the guys that, you know, over the last couple of weeks, I forgot to mention JC. Okay. So Wakas is saying to me, he goes, Arsh, I've sold 6 deals in this week. Getting the properties all over the UK is not the problem. How do you shift them just as fast? Your database is not that big. Wakas, the answer is that your issue is that you're struggling to shift them because you haven't got a buyer's database, and that's what you need to focus on. How to create an active database. So I've got approximately 105, it's between 103 and 105,000 people on my database. So remember, when we're selling a deal, how many people do we need to actively show an interest in a property for it to sell? In reality, you only need one. But the fact is that for every deal that we put out, we get approximately, you know, if it's one in London, we put out one deal in Hull recently, Boulevard, it was a block of flats. We had 750 people calling saying, Arsh, I want the deal, I want the deal, I want the deal. Now, if we've only got one property to sell, what do? We can only offer it to the first person that says, Arsh, I want it, boom, they've reserved it with me and away they go. What do I do to the other 749 people? That's the only bad part I would say about this process, is that if you put it out and the way that I treat it is that I throw the cat amongst the pigeons. There's only one property and there's so many people on your buyer's database. Who gets it? Now, moving on, the one thing I will say very simply is when it comes to seller motivation, don't get hung up on the money. Now, I made this mistake when I first started out in the year 2000. If the property wasn't 25% below market value, I would say, sorry, not interested, and I'd walk on to the next one. I don't even want to think about how many millions of pounds I probably walked away from or I left on the table. It never really occurred to me that the motivation was always about the money. For me, it was always about the money. If it wasn't 25% below market value, I wasn't interested. Have you ever considered that sellers are not always motivated by money? Have you ever considered, now you guys may be able to think about this yourselves, Have you ever been in a situation where you've needed to sell the property quickly? Now, just to give you an example, I became a motivated seller at the tail end of last year. I'd ordered my wife's new car, hoping that her old car was going to sell by the time her new car came. The new car came, and now she had two cars. So it hadn't sold within that time frame. So I sold it to We Buy Any Car. I became a motivated seller. I didn't need the money. I just didn't want two cars. So I was prepared to take a hit on it on the basis that it wasn't about the money for me. So there's lots of ways that you've got to think about it. And then when it comes to property, have you ever been in a position where you need to go up in size, you need to downscale, you need to move closer to family, you may be getting a new job, you may have lost their job, there may have been probate where someone's died or passed away, there may be in debt and financial issues. And final one is divorce. There's not many cases that I actually go through that are financial issues. Majority of them are to do with divorce, whether they're upscaling, downscaling, and upscaling, downscaling is probably the majority. There's a few probates, not as many as I'd like really, but okay, so there's a couple of questions coming in and we'll go through those. The questions that you do need to kind of understand is, for argument's sake, one of them is there a mortgage on the property? How much is actually remaining on the mortgage? What's the outstanding debt? Are there any other loans? What's the cost of them moving and the reason for them moving, and whether they require any funds to move onto the next transaction or onto the next property? I'll give you an example of that now over the weekend. So sort of from time to time, I do take some calls. So I took a call yesterday. The property is down in Torquay. The vendor is actually in Thailand. So the guy calls me, he goes, I want to sell my property. It's been valued at 260. We started having a chat and he goes, Arsh, I like the way that you talk. He goes, I'm prepared to do a deal with you if you're prepared to do a deal. And I said, okay. I said, what's your, I never ever mention figures, by the way. Oh, on a phone call, never mention figures on a phone call. And I said to him, okay, so what's your consideration of a deal? He goes, I'll tell you what, he goes, I bought it for 260. I've had rent off it for the last 5 years, etc. I'm prepared to let you have it today at 190. So he put the figure in there at 190 straight away. So all of a sudden, we've near enough got 26% below market value without me even trying. And all I've done is had a quick chat with him. And I said to him, what's the reason for sale? He goes, I'm based in Thailand. He goes, the property is now vacant. We had a tenant in there for 5 years. I'm thinking, well, maybe I should take my money. I don't see myself coming back into the UK anytime soon. There's no debt on the property. And so we're in the process of structuring a lease option on that property, because I think that we can do a better deal as a lease option than we can we could do a below market value deal straight out 26%. But I've actually looked at this from a point of view that I might actually take it on and use it as a holiday home for me and my wife and kids, because it's in Torquay. Is it Torquay or Newquay? I don't know, one of them. It's on the south coast. And on the basis that if I can use it as a serviced accommodation property, and as long as the income that we get generates pays his rent to him, I'll have a free second home. So that is just the way that I structure deals. And I thought, from a second point of view, how many of you guys would like a second home knowing that it's fully paid for from the income that it generates and it's fully self-servicing? And that's me talking about a way of so Wakas, he goes, do you do splits with your agency if you sell to your database? Yes, we do, but I need to speak to you about that in greater detail. So how many of you guys would like a second home if you knew that you could get one without paying a deposit or anything, and as a result doing a deal on it, and if the income pays the rent, it pretty much is a rent, isn't it? You've acquired a second property, but this one we would do it so that we could go and spend some time in it throughout the year. So locations of deal, I don't think there's a city that I haven't done a deal in, or there's not many towns especially that I haven't done a deal in. So for argument's sake, so we've done all the major cities, we've done lots of the major towns and cities. So I've just noted some of them there. You can see on the emails that all of the deals I don't know why a lot of the deals that we get are up north. It just so happens that's how it works. So if in 2017, so you guys do the maths, 483 deals and an average source fee of £4 grand. That meant that we grossed 1.9 million. No capital input into any deal because that was just solely on the sourcing. Now I'm just going to show you that was 2017. Now 2017, 483 deals. Really disappointed that I didn't hit 500 deals. Extremely disappointed I didn't hit 500 deals, but extremely pleased because we traded less deals, we generated a higher fee, and we generated a higher turnover too. Now, one thing I will say is that, remember guys, there's no risk because no capital. All we've done is sourced, packaged and sold, and I've worked off a mobile phone. Sometimes I'll work from home, sometimes I'll work from a cafe, sometimes I'll work from my office, sometimes I'll work from abroad, and I can do this from anywhere. All I need to do is be able to so is that fee split between you and the sourcer? So I can't see who's wrote that question. So if there's a property that I've sourced, obviously it's my own fee. If it's something that's a sourcer that's come through, then yes, I'll split it with the sourcer. But a lot of the deals that I do are my own, and then there's quite a few that come through sourcers too. So some of the deals that you would have seen. So here's one, Clear Street in Blackpool. So 50% below market value, block of 4 self-contained flats, purchase price 60 grand, value is 4 flats worth 120 grand. So you can see, that we managed to get 50%, and as a result, it gave you a bit of an indication. You'll recognise these emails because these are the deals that come through to you every day. Here's another one, 21% below market value, 8-bed HMO in Manchester. Manchester is an Article 4 area which holds a premium. Purchase price was 230 against a market value of 290. Here's another one. What was this? A rent-to-rent deal in Stockfield Road, Birmingham. And we did this. This was one of Ashley's deals that we're going to be talking about shortly. So Clare Street, Blackpool was RAHEEL'S deal. Manchester Road was Martin Webb's deal. And Stockfield Road was Ashley's deal. And again, the target for 2019 is to hit 500 deals, the sources fee of circa 5 grand, which is going to generate circa 2.5 million quid. So that's the aim. Now, I'll tell you what's scary is that 2020, the aim is to hit 1,000 deals, which is 20 deals a week. On average, we're doing circa between 5 and 10 deals a week. Now, to get to 20 deals, we've got some things up our sleeves. We've got some tricks up our sleeves to get to 1,000 deals. And I want to be the largest. I will be the largest deal sourcer around the UK. And then the aim is to potentially then go and do this in Europe, and then potentially out in other parts of the country, out in other parts of the globe too. Because let's face it, motivated sellers all over the country. So there's so many ways. So Wakar says, is it worth getting into BMV off-plan apartments? I never deal with off-plan. Unless it's built and I can feel and touch it and sniff it, I won't touch it. Because if it's off plan, how do you know it's going to be built, etc. Okay, if it's a rent to rent and the person is a first time buyer, would you provide them with a contract, or would they be able to be redirected to a solicitor? Either, with a rent to rent, it doesn't necessarily have to be a document that was. It doesn't have to be a document that has been created by, it needs to be a document that's been created by a solicitor, but you can regurgitate the same one a few times just by changing some of the terms if required. Now, what Warren Buffett said is that you are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Now, 2019 is a phenomenal opportunity, and the reason why I say phenomenal opportunity is because we are on the cusp of Brexit. Brexit is coming in regardless whether we like it or not. And as a result, we're going to see a flood of opportunities. I already started to see what was going and what was happening in the property market in 2018. Landlords were selling. Section 24 had kicked in. Section 24, for those that don't know, is where the landlords can no longer claim their mortgage relief in their taxes. So as a result, they're now starting to be pushed into higher tax brackets. As a result, they're paying more tax, which means that they're finding that it's no longer financially viable for them to do so. And we saw the stock that we got was far better because it's income producing, it's already generating. And because they were investors and they've already made their money out of the property from owning it a number of years, the deals that we did were far better and far greater. So let's get moving on. So the one thing that I want to mention, and remember we talked about 30 deals in 30 days. Here's a program that I'm going to be running. It's called the Elite Property Tribe. I run it every year. So what it is, it's a 52-week online training program. When it's that online training program, it's a hand-holding program where we look at all the different types of property deals that you should be doing, whether it's deal trading, where we should be looking at rent-to-rent, lease options, HMO, service accommodation, commercial to residential, and development opportunities. So we look at all the different types of properties, and I'll show you how you can source them, how you can package them, and how you can sell them. So you're given everything that you need to succeed with each of the strategies. So you get all the contracts, all the checklists, all the calculators. So I've got I've got what I call a cash flow calculator. So what I do is I look at a property and I literally put the figures in there, and it will say yes or no. Yes is green, red is no, and it is very simple as that. And if I think, and it will show me how much cash flow it's going to generate per month, per annum, and over the period if it's a rent to rent. And as a result, it will show you what the capital import, what the ROI is. So I've got loads of sophisticated spreadsheets, shall we say. I've got all the proven sourcing templates. Now, the difference with the Elite Property Tribe, it is very much a hand-holding process. Now, when I mentioned this to my wife, she goes, hand-holding seems very simple. And the reason why I say that is because I'm not one of these persons that leaves anyone out on a limb. I'm with you every step of the way. All you have to do is follow the steps and what I say to the T. Don't divert away from it. Let's not break. Have you ever heard of the saying, if it's not broken, let's not fix it? Now, with the Elite Property Tribe, I'm always to the EPT members. So EPT is the Elite Property Tribe. With the EPT members, I'm always on the end of the phone. You'll have my personal mobile number. Anytime you run into a roadblock, you pick up the phone to me. At the start of the journey, you'll be given a 52-week learning journal, which is completely new for 2019. I've never done this before. I want you to write down all your tasks and all your outcomes. So every Monday night, we run a webinar between 7 and 9 p.m. And off that webinar, I want you to write down your key learning experiences. I want you to write down an action as to what you're going to be doing. I want you to write down all the people that you're going to be calling. And at the end of the week, I want you to be saying, here's all the actions that I wrote down. Here's how many I've ticked off. Here's how many I didn't do, but we're going to follow through to the next week. We're going to carry through to the next week. You'll also be allocated another Elite Property Tribe member as a buddy for daily accountability. So you don't have to do it alone. Now, admittedly, I won't be able to speak to every single person every day. I've got a call booking system that you can call me. So you can, I've got a link where you call and you book the call so that, and in that call, in the message, you tell me what we're going to speak about so that I know that that call is going to be productive. So I'm very structured in that respect. So you get the learning journal where you're going to write down what you're going to be doing for that week. And then at any one point I can call and say, guys, I need to see your learning journal. So every Monday we're going to have a webinar between 7 and 9. You get access to an online property portal, which is elitepropertytribe.co.uk, where you get a username and a password with all the webinar recordings, just in case you miss one of the live events. Now, here's one of the things that I'm very generous with is a shadowing day. Everyone gets the opportunity to come and spend the day with me in my office so that you can see the calls that I make. You can see how I deal with it, how I'm sourcing, that I'm sourcing my own stock and how the pace that I move. So here's a guy that you saw in your email. This is Kurum. He's just started the EPT. The program doesn't actually start until February, but he wanted to join a month early. He's got no deal trading experience. And all of a sudden, within the space, he came in on the Thursday, the 3rd of January. And in the day, he found one 4-bedroom house in Liverpool. And he found 6 properties in Doncaster that we're structuring as a lease option. And this was all done from my office with clear guidance. Just so that you know, the one-on-one days, if you weren't on the EPT and you wanted to come and spend a day with me, it is £1,500. But as a part of the EPT, you get to book these in and you can come and spend these with me at my office. I will say that if you are coming to the office, you have to be very structured, because I'm very structured in my day, and I want to make sure that you get the most out of me and out of yourself too. So as well as that, we have a quarterly meetup. Every 3 months we meet up as a group where we have keynote speakers. You get access to my proven leaflets, magazines, adverts, and 3-part letters. And you get to JV, as part of the EPT, I only JV with EPT members, where you get to, where every deal, if you want to, you can package your deals and sell them to my investor database, who are hungry for your BMV and your deals. So that's what the EPT is. So EPT members can JV with me. So let's just say the deal, and we package it, we sell it for £6,000. We split the fee at £3,000 each, and it is a 50-50 split. You get access to my power team. So that's my architects, my accountants, my lawyers, my mortgage brokers, and everyone that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. You get to join the thriving, supportive community of motivated property investors that are determined to change their lives. And they will inspire you with their success and share their experiences so that you can avoid costly mistakes and shortcut your success. And I'll be telling you the things that when you put out a deal, what not to tell the investor until they've actually paid your fee, so that you don't risk being cut out of the process. So there are things that you have to do to make sure that you get exclusivity to the transaction. And I'll be showing you how to build lasting relationships with investors so that they become repeat customers for your deals and properties. There is a full 52-week agenda. So this is part of the process. So we'll be looking at different kinds of HMOs. We'll be looking at the B&B deals, how to differentiate between commercial and commercial valuations and bricks and mortar valuations. We'll be looking at strategic financing, rent-to-rents, lease options. We look at the paperwork process. We look at the negotiating process. We look at the calculating process. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you to become an all-rounded property investor. This is the only program of its kind where it is very much hand-holding, where I'm going to be taking you through a 52-week process and saying, guys, if you want it, now is your time. 2019, there isn't a better time to start deal sourcing or get involved in property, full stop. Brexit, Section 24, there's lots of scaremongery and there's deals to be done. Now, the full price of the program is £6,000, but don't worry, because one thing that I always say is that I believe in you. And by joining the Elite Property Tribe, you pay 50% upfront, which is £3,000, and the other £3,000 is paid when you succeed. So if you do deals, the other £3,000 will come out of the fees, so it won't come out on one lump sum. So let's just say that you do a number of deals, you take 500 off that deal, 500 off another deal, etc. So you pay 3,000 up front to cover you for your cost of the admin for the course, and then the other 3,000 is paid over a period of time. If you can't afford the 3,000 up front, which I appreciate that some may not, there is a payment plan of options of 3 payments if you can't pay in full from the start. So there are options for you. So I'm giving you options. And the one thing that I'm doing, I always say, is that there's no risk, because we give 100% money back guarantee. So if you're not happy, if you're not completely satisfied within 30 days of starting, all you're going to do is send me an email and I'll give you a refund. No questions asked, no hassles or forms to fill out, no problems at all. One thing I will say is that I will want to make sure that you've followed all my tasks. You can't just come back to me at the end of 30 days, oh, sure, I didn't really have time. That's not how it works for me. If you're working with me, you're working with me, which means that I'm going to want to see your learning journal, which means that I'm going to want to see you on every webinar. If I'm going to say you're going to make 10 calls that day or 10 calls that week, you've got to make 10 calls. Remember, it's an accountability program. If you want to make 2019 the best year that you're going to have, you have to take some action. So to join the EPT, all you've got to do is you've got to follow that link there, which is bit.ly/EPT 2019. The first webinar starts on Monday, the 4th of February. For those that are eager and they want to join straight away, we'll give you access as of tomorrow, and you can start to watch the last 2 years worth of webinars. There's approximately 200 webinars on the platform that you can watch. It's pretty much like Netflix. You can binge on as many webinars as you want. You can look through all the documents. You can look through the buddy schemes. You can look through absolutely everything on the platform, just to give you a quick indication of what the platform looks like. So just so you know, that page will take you to something that looks like this, and then you can decide whether you're paying full or whether you're paying 3 monthly installments. And the platform actually looks, let me just have a quick look. So you'll see what I see in a second. So if I log in as admin, so here we go. So here's the platform. So you can only get access to the platform if you're EPT member, because you get login detail, you get deal sheet template, you get all the documents. You can see all the documents that we've got there. You can see all the webinars. So you can see that in each one there's approximately 50 webinars. There's 250 webinars for you to watch. We've got the buddy scheme, we've got the forum, we've got the curriculum, we've got the live meets. You can see all there's to what if each session is 8 hours. You've got a lot of hours there of sessions that you can watch. You've got events, you've got useful contacts. So when I say useful contacts, that's my power team. You've got access to there. Every Monday you'll see that we put the webinar links up there, so you'll constantly, and I can see he logs into this platform, by the way. So you can see some of, so what is the deal? Here's some of the webinars that we've recently updated. So let's keep moving on. So Ashley is a young lad, mid-20s, a family, couple of kids. Ashley joined in EPT in Feb 18. He traded 3 deals with me. He's continuing to find more deals on a weekly basis. Now, he's done this whilst holding a full-time job. And one thing that's really interesting is that he's done 3 rent-to-rent deals, and he's purchased his own buy-to-let on a no money down process, because he came to me, he goes, I like this property. And I go, have you ever thought of a way that we can purchase this in a different manner? And we structured it as a no money down deal. So one of the EPT members, Azu's just come online, goes, hi Arsh, sorry I'm late, just come back from a landlord meeting, got a 5-bed HMO, 3-year rent to rent that will cash flow in excess of £600 per calendar month. So well done, Azu. Let's speak about that tomorrow. Book a call, let's have a chat about that. Okay. So Doris Smith, we've got lots of questions that we're going to ask. Okay, so let's keep moving on. So that's Ashley. Ashley is a phenomenal. Now Russell's the guy on the left-hand side. He is phenomenal because he actually lives in Marbella. So he fluctuates between Newcastle and Marbella. So he started with me in January 2017. In February, he sold his first deal. He sourced it through auction house, so the cost was 0, and the deal was sold in less than a day. He's done all this whilst been living in between Marbella and Newcastle. So sometimes when I call him, he's in Newcastle. Sometimes when I call him, he's in Marbella. And he's gone on to source another 20 plus deals whilst abroad. This week alone, the week that's just gone, he's done 2 deals. So 2 of the deals that you saw out this week, they've come from Russell. So the 30% below market value with the 25% ROI was Russell's. The one that we put out in, so there's one in Peterlee, and the other one I think was towards Sunderland, or well, it was up north anyway. That was the other one, which was the service accommodation one. So you can see. Now, the question is, are any of the people that I've shown you today any different to you? No, they're not. Absolutely not. All they've done is that they've put their doubts aside for long enough for them to give a try at this at no risk to them. They've put their belief in me allowing me to drag them through the process. When I say drag's such a horrible and an aggressive word, but if you put your trust in me, I will drag you through this process. I will drag you through 2019 and get you to the levels of success and get you to the levels of understanding of property that you did not believe existed. So all they've done, they've achieved what they've achieved in 1 month. Remember, it's a 30-day money-back guarantee. So just imagine not having to do a day's work for anyone else. Just imagine no more boss, no more commuting, no more pressures, no more financial worries. And the one part that I like is the fact that you can do this around your family commitments and never having to worry about your kids' plays, concerts, or sports matches. Now, one of the ladies that does deal sourcing, a lady called Priscilla, I called her on Friday and she goes, sorry, Arsh, couldn't speak. Oh no, it was just before Christmas. Sorry, Arsh, I couldn't speak because she was in a kid's nativity play. I thought that was fantastic. I said, don't worry, whenever you're free. So again, going back through it, you get weekly training, you get access to my power team. We've got a vibrant WhatsApp group, we've got a Facebook group, we've got webinars every Monday. You get to come and spend time with me in the office. We're going to have the learning journal and so much more. So much more. And the cost of it is $3,000 for the year. You can either pay in one go or you can pay in 3 monthly installments. That's completely up to you. Okay, so just bear with me. I'm going to come through it. I'm going to just finish up. So can a simple system really do all this for you? Absolutely, because you've seen from the success of Raheel, who's done this with all the odds stacked against him. And again, the money back guarantee. And then I'm after exceptional individuals who I can turn into the greatest deal sources in the UK. And you can have it for $3,000 by using the link below. So finally, so that's the WhatsApp group. So you can see, so everyone's in there every day. And that's the platform that you've just seen. And then, sorry, one thing I should have mentioned is that we also have got on the platform flow charts. I'll give you flow charts so that you can follow. So I try and give you a very structured process as to here's what to do, here's what to do. So if they say yes, we go down this line of questioning. If they say no, we go down this line of questioning. I've got that for estate agents and vendors. I've got one for rent to rent, and I think I've got another one for, I can't remember what the other one's for, but I've got 3 of them. So that kind of takes us back to someone's asked, can I put this up? Okay, so I'll put that up there. I'm gonna take some questions now. Okay, so just so that you know, the program starts on the 4th of February. Prab says, is this deal only available today, Arsh? We've got 30 spaces available. We don't take any more than between 30 and 40 spaces. I've already got 10 people that have signed up to it. If you miss the spaces, then we don't open again until next year. So in that respect, okay. So the choice is yours. Prab, one thing I would say is that if you like the thought of it, jump online. So we're going to jump online and make the payments. And then, like I said, anyone that joins today, I'll give you access from tomorrow. So you've pretty much got a near enough a month's free of education. So, you know, by all means, feel free to, you know, let me know. So a question then. Okay, so this is a really interesting question. Adam Seedhouse. Hi, Arsh. I have a property portfolio. I'm keen to buy land, develop more houses, flats. Would you be prepared to show me how to source land effectively? And I'll pay for the advice. Okay, so Adam, just so you know, part of the EPT is that we show you how to source direct to vendor, how to source land direct to vendor effectively. So just so you know, one of my backgrounds was that I owned a property development company. So I used to source all the land. I used to do the land packaging. I used to do the land banking for the development company. So I know I've got a vast amount of knowledge on land. And we've also got quite a few EPT members that are also developing as well. So you'll have lots of resource there. So I've answered Prab. He goes, Suleiman says, Arsh, I do not really learn well with online stuff. How can I come and sit with you like 3 or 4 days a week in your office and make it work? Just so you know, Suleiman, there's nothing stopping you from coming as an EPT member. you can book in as many days in the office as you want, subject to my availability. Now, I'm available most of the time because I'm in the office most of the time, or if I'm not in the office, I'm working from my home office, or I'm working from a cafe local. So in that respect, yeah, I'm always, you know, the EPT members will tell you how flexible I am, because I want to make sure that you guys get it. Just so that you know, when you said that you don't learn well online with online stuff, believe me, we give it in a structured approach so that you will get it. You will get it, you know. And by all means, one thing I will say is that when you come to the office, it's not an office of it's not a day of mentoring. I want to make this extremely clear. Not a day of mentoring where I spend the whole day with you, because I've got to also make sure that deals get out. It's a shadowing day so that you can see what I do, how I do. I'll be giving you tasks and showing you what to do, and you'll be working on your own devices, but you'll be sat at a desk right opposite me, so I can see what you're doing, how you're speaking, where you're going wrong, and I'll be guiding you along the way. Okay, so Ryan says, how are the 3 installments broken down? So just so you know, if you break it down to 3 installments, I think there is a slight premium for paying in the installments, which will show you on the page. But the first payment is made immediately, and then I think it's 30 days from the date of payment. So let's say that you make one today, which is the 6th of January. The next one will be the 6th of February, and the one after that will be 6th of March. Yeah. So hopefully that makes that easier. Okay. So Prav says, hi, thanks for the response, Arsh. I've pre-booked a religious trip to India for a whole month of March. Don't worry, Prav. Remember, this is a 12-month program. It's a 52-week program. You're going to be away for 4 weeks. You're going to play catch-up, which is fine, you know. But in the same respect, if you're going to have the whole of February and then March, and you'll have an EPT buddy so that you can allocate people, you can allocate tasks to people for whilst you're away. Don't let that be an excuse for you, but that's completely up to you. Is there a limit to the amount of members in this cohort? Yeah, like I said, we take a maximum of 40 people, and we've already got 10 on, so there's 30 spaces left. Okay, so this is a great question. Smither said, hi Arsh, can you talk a bit about how it's possible to source and sell deals you've never viewed? What if there are problems with the property that are not apparent when agents advise it? As someone relatively time poor, I would rely on being able to fit. As someone relatively time poor, I would rely on being able to fit this work in and around other working commitments. Smithy, just so that you're not alone. You're not alone when you're the person working around the clock. In the EPT, I can tell you mothers. I can give you full-time mothers. People who are working abroad, people all kinds of natures. The one thing I would say to you is that if you're working with agents, they are doing all the work for you, because let's face it, if there's an issue with the property, they will already know about it. If there's no kitchen, if there's no bathroom, they will know about it. If there's an issue with the title, that's something that you or the agent cannot predict. If there's an issue with the title, if there's an issue with the survey, then naturally, as a property investor yourself, if you're buying that property, you wouldn't see that from the outside. That's only something that the solicitors can do. So naturally, there will be some scenarios where a deal falls through as a result of the legal work not happening correctly, or not happening as a result of there being an issue with the title. That's the nature of the beast of property, unfortunately. So don't worry about that. So Joy says, hi Arsh, can the 3,000 paid installments be a little bit more flexible? Unfortunately not, Joy. The reason being is that, Joy, I'll tell you what, if you take my phone number at the end of the presentation and you give me a call, I'll go through that with you. So Justin says, what happens after the year? Can we stay in the community? Okay, Justin, that's a great question. Now, I know other mastermind programs say, well, if you want to stay in the year, if you want to stay in the community, you have to pay again. I'm not like that. One thing I say is that all you do is you pay £300 to renew for the second year, £300 to pay for the third year, and that £300 just pay for the admin to keep you in the group. because we have to keep you on the platform, etc. So £300, which is equivalent to less than, is it 60 pence a week? I think, no, I can't remember. Yeah, 60 pence a week, I think it is. So yeah, so you don't pay the 3,000 for the following year. So please, okay. Okay, so Helen, you might just want to give me a call tomorrow. That's great. Okay, so let's just have a quick look. Okay, so how can you deal source whilst overseas? So Elaine Woodgate, or all up north, knows deals down south. So Elaine, you would have, Elaine, you would have seen that we've done deals in the south. We've done deals in Bournemouth. We've done deals in Reading. We've done deals in. We've got some stuff going through in Islington. We've got some stuff going through in Bangkok, I think it is. I don't know. I can't remember. We get loads of deals in Luton. We get loads of rent-to-rent deals in Luton, round by Watford. So you've got to remember that some of you guys won't see all the deals because we've got an early bird list. And the early bird list is where some of the investors pay £500 to be on the early bird, and they see the property 48 hours before it goes out to the main list. So chances are that if it's somewhere around there, in Islington, yeah. So Abdul Rashid, hi, how are you? Assalamu alaikum. So if you if you're on the early bird list, you'll get the properties first because you've paid a premium to be on that list, and you see them 48 hours prior to the main list seeing them. So if you haven't seen them in London, etc., chances are that could have been gone to those. Okay, so Dale's asked a great question. He goes, 3K paid from deals. What happens if you don't find any? What time frame? So Dale, if you don't find any deals, which I find extremely hard to believe, but if you don't find any deals, you don't pay it. So in essence, you pay 3,000 for your education for a year, which is equivalent to £60 a week, which is crazy. Which is absolutely crazy. Now, when you look at all the other training companies out there, they're charging circa 15 to 20 to 30,000 pounds for this kind of training. I know that some guys are training charging 3,000 for the weekend. You're going to get 3,000 for a whole year. If someone hasn't got their first deal within a month or two and have gone and done the assignments or followed all the instruction, is there any extra support to ensure that they get their first deal over the line? Andrew, this is very much a hand-holding process. I push you through. So, for argument's sake, if you're struggling, or I sometimes have some people in the EPT and they go, "Arsh, I've got a mental block," and I say, "Okay, let's book a call. Let's understand where the mental block is. What is a mental block? Why are you struggling to find deals? Why is everyone else finding deals and you're not finding deals? I want you to succeed. I want you to succeed. I want you to be successful." That's the whole point of it, because if you're successful, everyone's making money. I'm making money, you're making money, and it works. Does that make sense? So yeah, and like I say, if you've got a mental block and you're struggling, sorry, the one thing I would say, and I should have put this in the is that within the first month, what I try and do is do a 2-day intensive in Birmingham, where we try and get all the EPT members together, and I go through a breakdown of all the strategies, and as a result, I give you an indication as to what to look for, how to look for it, where to go. So everyone should be on the same level playing field as to what they're looking for from day one. Okay, so Dale says, if a 12-month program, at what point would someone be in a position to do a deal? Now, Dale, this is what really surprises me, because who would have thought that Raheel, being in a different country, goes and smashes it out the park? It all comes down to how receptive you are to the information. It all comes down to how receptive you are to the information. If you take everything on board and you just follow what we say, there's no reason for you not to do a deal. So if you go and you religiously watch the previous, if you want to get ahead, you know, remember, we've got one webinar a week. If you wanted to spend the other 5 or 6 days watching the previous webinars from the previous cohorts, you're going to be well ahead. And as a result, you're going to be calling agents, you're going to be speaking to vendors, you're going to be speaking to, architects and all the other people that we tell you to speak to, getting deals, appraising them, speaking to me on a daily basis. It's the people that stay in contact with me regularly are the ones that are the most successful. The people that I haven't even mentioned are two young guys that one of them was on the webinar tonight, a chap called Michael. Michael's a young lad, early 20s, and he's done 7 deals from June this year. So it's crazy what you can do. So Jackie says, can you explain the process again? So Jackie, just so you know, so the whole process, the cost of it is £6,000 for the whole program, but you don't pay £6,000 up front. You pay £3,000 up front. So that can either be in one payment or 3 monthly installments. If it's monthly installments, it may be slightly more expensive. I think it's 3,300 over the 3 period, because that's what we get charged from Stripe for taking the payments over consecutive months. However, and then the other 3,000 is payable when you do deals. If you don't do deals, then that's not payable. But that is, that is how it works. Okay, so Arjun says, how many deals would you expect an EP team member to make in a year? All depends on how much effort you put into it, Arjun. I'd like to think that EP team members, to start with, maybe they one deal a week, which is 4 deals a month. I'd like to think that, depending if you're extremely slow off the outtake, you do 1 deal a month. Or you could go all guns blazing. The one thing I will say to you is very simple, and I say this to everyone. Property is a marathon. It is not a sprint. The one thing that I will say is don't come out the stocks sprinting and burn out. So Richard says there's a cost of the membership VAT inclusive, so it's 3,000, no VAT included on that. So it's you only pay 3,000. So after the payments have been made, how soon would we start working on deals? So Ryan, if you were to make a payment tonight, you can start watching webinars pretty much as of tomorrow, because we'll get you lined up on the platform and and you can start watching all the webinars and all the documents as of tomorrow. Your first official webinar doesn't start until Monday the 4th, but I've had people that have done deals before the first webinar that come through. Okay, so exactly. So the way that we work it is that if you do 2 deals, that the course is pretty much paid for. That's correct, Lucas. Okay. So Prab says, from your webinar, I get the impression that this is very much a tailored program and you're very hands-on. That's exactly it. In comparison to others such as Progressive Property and PIN, etc. That is exactly it, because where else would you be able to, no disrespect to people like Rob and Mark and Simon, etc. This is my company. So I deal in, just so that you know, in the EPT we've got a number of I think there's 177 members over all the cohorts, and every single one of them has the ability to get through to me, and I speak to them pretty much on a daily basis, and everyone gets through. So in that respect, how many of the other training companies are you able to do that? So let's just get through some of the questions. I'm going through some of the questions. Okay, so Smith says, yeah, I've answered your question there. Go through. Okay, so Cash says, has there been any deals where the buyers have committed the purchase and then backed out, taking more time to move once they have the reservation fee? If you experience either of them, have you solved the problem? So Cash, just one thing to bear in mind, that with a buyer, I operate in a slightly different manner to others, because anything that we take as a reservation is fully refundable right up to the point of exchange. I never want to be in a position where we're holding on to someone's money, because that's not me. You know, I'd rather sleep at night knowing that we're not holding on to anyone's money, and everyone, you know, that is me personally. Sometimes deals fall through due to nature of they may not be able to get funding. They may not have got funding. The property has, let's say, got an issue with the title, etc., which is out of their control, and the deal falls through. And it's the same as, you know, it's exactly the same as estate agents. Not every deal goes through. Does that make sense? Okay, so Ryan's asked a question. When working with an estate agent, does the end buyer pay your sources fee? If so, isn't more of an incentive to get the property BNB? Exactly. So Ryan, the way that we work is that the estate agent makes the money off the seller, the sourcer makes the money off the buyer. Does that make sense? So, okay, so Dale says, where can I read more on the 12-month program? So you can go to elitepropertytribe.co.uk. Is it cost vatable at 20%? So Richard said, there's no VAT on the course, Richard, so we wouldn't supply a VAT invoice, if that makes sense. So Dale says, where can I read more on the program? So it's elitepropertytribe.co.uk. And then, yeah, by all means, or you can go to my personal website, arshellahi.com, and look at the Elite Property Tribe tab. Okay, so Justin's asked a question. What's the average turnaround time from sourcing a property and then selling it through to an EPT database of buyers? Okay, so let's just say that you bought me a property tomorrow. I would want to go through it with you. So the process is that you find a deal, you email it to me, you book a call with me so that we can talk through it. Off the back of that, off the call, I may say that we might need this, this, and this. I might need you to just get a bit of further information, unless you've got it all there for me, which is fantastic. If you've got it all for me, we then progress to put it out, which is either the next day or the day after, depending on what's already been programmed into the system. And then off the back of that, generally the deals sell the same day, if not the next day. And then as a result, we then put them in contact if it's with an agent. We only split the fees once the property is exchanged, because like I previously mentioned, that anything that we take is fully refundable right up to the point of exchange of contracts. Arjun says, will you look over and confirm the deal stacks before you present it? Yeah, I will only put it out once I think the property is, when I think the property is ready to be put out and it's in a position to be put out. Do the deals people find often just fail to sell? There have been one or two that haven't sold, but I would say 99% of them do sell. Okay, so Mr. Musa said, when do we take the sourcing fee, and do we refund it to investor in case the deal falls through due to bad title? Yes, we do. Okay, so Adam says, I see Vicky at one of the slides. She's a good reference. I see her at the Black Country pin now and again. Yeah, she started her property journey with me. Rob says, will I need to be legally compliant? It's always good practice to be legally compliant, Rob, so I would say yes. It's a win-win-win, absolutely. Can I join by putting 5 deals on the table? So, Wilcast, you might just want to give me a call tomorrow and we'll go through that. How do you determine what sourcing fee to charge? Is there a set fee for each strategy? Not so much a set fee, Steve, but one thing I will do, I'll look at the property and I'll see. So for argument's sake, one of the deals that Russell sent me this week, he actually only put a £2,000 fee on it. And I thought that it was worth more than that because of the angle that we managed to attract on the property. So there isn't a science to it, is the honest answer. But one thing that we will look at, we'll look at all the angles to see, because we want to still make sure that we're being paid what we're worth, as opposed to just a percentage. Now, let's just say one of the houses that we put out this week is £40,000. If we were to do what an agent would do, which was charge a percentage of that, we would have made circa £800, which is 2%, or equivalent to a minimum of £1,000. Whereas we charged £3,000 for it, and we actually got that as well. Smith says, do we need to be registered with TPO Property Ombudsman? Yes, we do. But remember, let's concentrate on getting you the deals first before you go off and getting all registered. The registration and stuff can be done in the background. Let's concentrate on getting the business through. What sets the best EPT sources apart from the rest? The guys that are active, the guys that stay out there, the guys that don't burn out, the guys that stay in contact with me on a day-to-day basis. So on a day-to-day basis, the guys that are constantly asking questions, the guys that are watching the webinars, the guys that are speaking to agents, the guys that are pushing the boundaries, there's the ones. So Jackie has asked the question, if the deal is not BMV but has a good ROI, and this is the main angle, does that sell? What is a good ROI? So generally speaking, good ROI is a circa in excess of 20%. So yes, sometimes some deals don't always have to be below market value. It would be good if it does have both, because there's like a tick box for each property. So yes, it can sell on an ROI basis. If you can try and get it at BMV as well, that's obviously an added bonus. So that kind of brings all the questions to a close. I'm absolutely exhausted. So first of all, I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for taking the time to learn the secrets of trading deals. I hope you now understand how you can use this simple 3-step process or system to achieve your property cash flow goals. And as always, I'm very, very, very generous with our time. So I've got my mobile number there if you want to give me a call, and we can have a chat. Or if you want to book a call, you can do bit.ly, so bit.ly/call Arsh, capital C, capital A, and that will take you through to the booking call, which is what generally what I'll do. I'll try and put this in the chat, and if you want to have a chat, more than welcome to book a call with me and we'll have a chat. And then in the message section, what you do is you tell me what we're going to be speaking about. I'd rather we keep it quite specific to the EPT as opposed to just trying to ask about property strategies, etc. So you've got my phone number on there. I've just put in the link. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask away. If you've got any questions, feel free to give me a call. We'll go from there. So on that note, guys, I wish you all a very lovely rest of the evening. Enjoy the rest of the week. It's the start of a full week for 2019. It could be the greatest year of your life. I want it to be the greatest year of your life. And I can only do that if I can work with you. So guys, on that note, have a lovely week, and I will speak to you all soon. Take care. Good night. God bless.